Hello, how are you? I hope you're good. So today I'm here to sort of remake a video of mine that I've posted in 2017, I want to say. Should have checked. But it's all about my rating system. It's the way I rate books. It's the little system I created for myself. I have a systematic but still like fairly chill way, I don't know, of rating books. I am a person that sort of needs to have a system for majority of things. I really like having a plan. There's absolutely nothing wrong with rating books just by the feel of it. Like if you know yourself, you know what this book would fall into. But I really like putting it through the system and putting it through a test of some sort. I've always been like that. There is an old video, I think I'm gonna still leave it on, but I did like a little skit there and oh my god, like the cringe is strong. People ask, oh, what is that? Where can I find more information? Then I have to link it to that old video and I want it to stop. But I'm gonna add another thing to it. So this is gonna be a CAWPILE plus reading tracker or a spreadsheet that really gives you the opportunity to track everything or the majority of things that you would normally want to track, and also will give you automatic stats and automatic CAWPILE ratings. So I will walk you through how to get that spreadsheet. It's free, obviously, as the second part after I explain CAWPILE. If you already know CAWPILE, if you already use CAWPILE and you really don't need an explanation for that, I will put a timestamp here for the spreadsheet part of the video. But for those who are new or for those who have not seen CAWPILE, I'm here to kind of explain it. So as you know, on Goodreads, which is the main platform that we kind of track what we read and how we rate stuff, so on there is a 5-star rating system, which is obviously very known and very common, but I felt like it was very limiting for me to rate the book just from 1 to 5 without nitpicking at a couple of things, and I wanted a sort of a systematic way of coming to the star rating. CAWPILE is a system that breaks down the review into 7 different categories, and in each category you can rate it from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, 1 being the lowest. CAWPILE is just an abbreviation of what these letters stand for. So we have C, which is for characters, A, which stands for atmosphere, W, which stands for writing style, P for plot, I for intrigue, L for logic, and E for enjoyment. Now, as I mentioned, each of this category will have a rating from 1 to 10. The way I kind of decide on the rating is like very generally speaking. It's in these kind of sections. So 0 from 3 is something that's really bad, 4 to 6 is mediocre, 7 to 9 is really good, and then 10 is for outstanding. So there's 4 increments, but 3 of them have like 3 numbers each. So for example, if I think that a writing style in a particular book was really good, then I can look at the really good category from 7 to 8 to 9 and think, was it on a higher or on a lower scale? So, and similarly to all of the other categories. So let's take a book that's called Big Blue Book. So I read the Big Blue Book, but then I sit down and think, what about the characters in this book? Were the main characters well developed? Were the side characters interested enough? Were the side characters actually more interesting than the main characters? Was there enough diversity? Were there believable conflicts? Were their motivations interesting? So let's say in the Big Blue Book, characters were interesting enough, but it wasn't really character driven, and I didn't find the secondary characters to be particularly interesting, and it was mainly from like 2 perspectives or something, and everyone else just kind of served the plot purposes. But it wasn't something crippling that I couldn't actually look past. I would probably give that a 6 or 6.5, which is like a higher end of medium. Then let's say that the atmosphere was actually really good. Everything was really blue, but the blue shades were described in the numerous ways, and I really felt like I was in this blue world. I don't know why I made this example, but anyway, I felt tension when I was supposed to feel tension, and I was scared and surprised, and just felt like I stood in that hut that they were writing about, and that at that table when the characters were making decisions, and I was overall really happy with it. Maybe it wasn't the best I've ever read, but it was damn close, and I would give it a 9. The fact, obviously, some of these will interline a bit depending on the book. For example, in this one, I would say the writing style probably would get fairly high points just because it was so atmospheric and beautiful. However, maybe think that the dialogue was not the best. I would think that maybe there was some very cliche, very kind of Hollywood movie liners there that I didn't particularly like. Push some points down, and I would maybe put like it as a 7. For the plot, let's say that the majority of the book was actually really interesting. It was a page turner, and we really wanted to know who murdered Papa Blue. Okay, let's just go with it. But then we came to the resolution of it, so apparently this is a thriller. We came to the resolution of it, and it was actually super underwhelming. So for the majority of the book, the plot was actually really well balanced. There was enough to guess on, but not enough to be obvious. But then we came to the culmination of it, and it was just kind of like wah wah, and I was like, oh, that's it, you know the kind of book. So for that one, I would probably give a 7 as well. It all just depends. This is a made-up book, I don't know. But just as an example. Then for the intrigue, as I said, it was a page turner for the majority of it, so I actually would probably give it fairly high scores, maybe like 8.5 or 9. Let's go for 8.5 because I feel like if the intrigue was really good but the dialogue was still kind of draggy, probably in some places would make me want to kind of stop reading or be less intrigued. But for overall, let's give it 8.5, which is a very good rating. Now, logic is a category that I basically think, have I stopped in the book and just kind of sat there being like, what? Why did they not do that? Like, oh, if a character does something that's actually like outside their character traits, or if they stop investigating just because of the plot and you would think that the character would normally do it, or if there's something written in the world building that it just goes against it. Maybe the magic system is fuzzy. Maybe there are just some elements that don't quite seem to fit. To me, it actually is a very important point because I tend to really dislike when the book kind of stops me enjoying it purely because it doesn't quite fit or make sense or goes against itself. So let's say that this one was okay, but let's say that there were a couple of moments that people were just acting off, or things happened just for the plot and didn't really make sense, didn't feel like it fit the flow. So I'll probably give that a 7. And enjoyment is just purely how much overall do you think you enjoyed it. This is probably the category that would be your rating overall if you didn't split the other categories, if that makes sense. So how much did you enjoy this book? Was it fun to read? I'd say that, let's say this one was fairly fun. Because it's a page turner, it always really helps me because it was funny in places, although cheesy in some other places. Let's give it like an 8. So at this point, you would do the very simple calculations to come back to the actual rating. Now, if you want to use the spreadsheet, this will be done for you automatically, which I'll show you later on. But if you want to do it manually, you can. So you will simply add everything together at first. So it's 6 plus 9 plus 7 plus 7 plus 8.5 plus 7 plus 8. And we have 52.5. And then we're just gonna work out the average, which comes from these 7 categories. So we're gonna divide 52.5 by 7. And then we get our rating, which is 7.5. So now that you have the number, your rating number for all of the CAWPILE, you need to convert it into stars. Again, the spreadsheet will do it automatically for you, but if you want to know the increments, they are as follow. If it's anything under 1.1, it's a 0 star, but I struggle and I've never actually had any book that does that. Because at that point I would just DNF it and it wouldn't get to CAWPILE, if you know what I mean. But anything from 1.1 to 2.2 is a 1 star. 2.3 to 4.5 is a 2 star, 4.6 to 6.9 is a 3 star, 7 to 8.9 is 4 stars, 9 to 10 is a 5 star. There's gonna be a section in the spreadsheet that shows you all of these, so you do not need to remember them or anything, and again, it will do it automatically. So for our one, it's 7.5, which is just the beginning of 4 stars, so it's a 4-star book, but on the lower end, if you want to separate that, but at the end of it, it was a 4-star book. It was fun, it wasn't perfect. So I've been using this over 2 years now, and it makes it kind of fun for me. I like it to be systematic. I know Logan really enjoyed it because he just like hates the 5-star rating system with like passion, but I don't feel about it so strongly, but I'm glad that he enjoyed CAWPILE as well. So that is the CAWPILE system. Now to talk a little bit about the spreadsheet just before I cut into me showing you the spreadsheet. I had created a CAWPILE spreadsheet previously, but I didn't quite take to it. But then because this is a new year, I wanted to actually create it again and give it a go. And I'm hopefully posting this at the start of January, so you guys can start this year as well with it. So at first it was just like a baby CAWPILE spreadsheet where it would just automatically calculate CAWPILE rating, and I wouldn't have to do it manually, just because, you know, time saving and whatnot. But then I was like, you know what, why don't I just make it so it's easy to track everything, and it could actually be, I could maybe just use this even instead of Goodreads if I wanted to. I'll put it on a G drive so it automatically saves. And there's also another page that from the data that you input, then it'll show you the stats, which are really handy for like a year review at the end of the year, or even like a mid-check. Instead of me just telling you about this, I'm gonna go forward you into the actual recording where I show you it step by step, and I also show you how to download it and make it your own. So let's go. Okay, so I'll walk you through the spreadsheet just now, and at the very end I will tell you how to actually make your own copy, so it all is functional. But once you click the link in the description bar, you will be taken to this particular folder, and if you want to click on this spreadsheet, this is what you're gonna see. So you'll notice from straight away that there are a couple of types of columns. So there are a couple that have these little arrows at the edge. Then there is the CAWPILE section here. And then there is these columns that have like a line below and above. And at the very end there actually says, note, do not input anything manually in columns that have lines at the top and bottom, like below, so like these, because these are the cells that actually have formulas in them. It which just means that it calculates something automatically, so do not override them, because if you put anything on top, it just basically replaces that, and then it's kind of broken. But I try to protect it as much as I can, so if you do try to type something over it and then press enter, it'll come up with a warning, and if you just click cancel, it'll just not override it. So if you ever see that screen, just cancel it and it should be fine. So let me just walk you really quickly through this particular spreadsheet, and there are a couple more sheets at the bottom that I will show you in a little bit. So the first one is the month, pretty simple. You click this arrow and then you can pick the month. Alternatively, you can start typing and it will suggest something, and then you click that. So doesn't matter there. Title is called Big Blue Book by Big Blue Guy. I don't know. So a title, author, and then in the format there is physical, ebook, and audiobook. Let's say it's a physical book. For the pages, let's say it was a 500-page book. There are a lot of genres here. Let's say that this is magical realism. But in this one, if there is something that's missing, there's maybe like a really niche thing that you are reading, so I don't know, dinosaurs, then you can just type it. I have a little red corner there, but that doesn't matter. Like you can just type it over and it will not like disappear or anything. Ones I hope are in the drop down. So again, if you just start typing like fantasy or something, it will come up and then you can click it. Age category, there's children's, middle grade, young adult, new adult, and adult. So let's say this one is adult, then owned or borrowed, meaning that you own the book or if you borrowed it from a friend or a library. Let's say we took this one from the library. And then we have the CAWPILE bit, that's all in gray. So let's just invent some scores, and as you'll see as I'm typing this in, the rating adds up and divides by 7 already here. So let's say writing was 8.5, and as it adds up, it gets to the star it needs to be. So this one got 4 stars. If you enter something that goes out of the range, it just will show as nothing, so you'll know there's an error somewhere. Let me make something that's like a 1 star. So you'll see that there are different colors for each star. So a whole spreadsheet is mainly pastel, unless it is, oops, 19. A 5-star book, in which case it will shine bright for you. But other than that, most of the colors are gonna be pastel, so it's like non-aggressive. I get threatened easily. No, I'm joking. But so let's say let's do like a 3-star one. There we go, 3 stars, and then the only one we're missing is 2, right? There we go, 2 stars. So those are the colors. I know I did them in a random order. It's fine. I just wanted you to see the colors. So as you see, anything that has the lines around them, they are automatic. So you do not have to put anything in there. Things that will appear there as you go. So you just skip that. And I included this a little bit, but it's totally unnecessary. But if you wanted to, let's say we started reading this on the 1st of January and then we finished it on the 15th. Trying to record again because it just stopped. I don't know. I lost the footage, whatever. So I'll pick up where I kind of left off, hopefully. So if you put in the date that you have started reading something, let's say 3rd of January, and then we finished on the 25th of January, then it will show you how many days in total have you been reading that particular book. Then you can also mark it if the book was written by a POC author or if it wasn't. And if you want to be more specific, again, you can put in the nationality of the author there. And you can also mark the gender of the author and also like a publication date. So like 2020, or let's say this was written in 1954. I don't know. So I'm gonna populate the spreadsheet with a couple of random bits so I can show you exactly how the next pages look like. So be right back. So I have like 15 books here for a variety of months, and if you'll see around this bit here, there are 3 sheets in total. So there's the CAWPILE one, which is what you're seeing now. Then the very last one is the CAWPILE cheat sheet, which is this reminder of like the rating categories and what exact points are for what stars, just as a reminder. And then the middle one is the stats. I think I need the titles 1 second. There we are. There are a couple of graphs and there are a couple of pie charts. So the very first one is the books per month, and right below it, pages per month. I really wanted to have this in particular because sometimes we might have a month where we read 3 books and the next one we read 1, but actually the one that we read in that month is like totaling way more pages than the 3 that we read in the previous one because maybe they were comics. So if just as in case, like if someone actually wanted to check how many pages they basically read. So for example, April here, this person has read 2 books, but in total is 471 pages, whereas in June they only read 1, but it's actually closing 700 pages because the book was just simply bigger. And the line here and here is the overall trend so far. This is up to like September and probably skipping some months because I just randomly put stuff in, but obviously this would extend to December if it was the full year. So on the right here, we have the format of the book. So we have the percentage underneath right here of whatever the format was. So for example, what is the main one? The physical format, it has 40%, which actually is 6 books. So those little numbers on the actual pie chart is the actual number of books that fit that format. And they all kind of follow the same logic. So we have one for age category. If you wanted to see this person read mainly adult books. For genres, this person read mainly fantasy with some comics, some crime. This is the one that would look the most different for everyone, I feel, because obviously it depends how many you read. When going a little bit down here, we have the POC author yes or no graph, or if you want more specifics, then those would appear here as well. The author's gender, the overall stars. This is the only graph that doesn't actually have the numbers on the pie chart because I thought that the numbers would really be confusing because the star numbers are also numbers. But if you hover over it, the bold number is actually the number of the books. So you can still see how many books were in like 3 stars or something, in which in this case was 7, and it was the overall most common rating so far for this unlucky person. And then the very last one is published in, so you can see there's like some random years, but also a lot of from 2019 and a lot of from 2020. So those are the stats. The very last thing that I want to mention about the actual spreadsheet. So you might notice these little arrows here, and you might actually click on these little arrows at some point and something will pop up and you will be like, what's this? So actually it should give you the warning. So again, if you see the warning, just click cancel and all is well. But if you do open it, it's just unnecessary. So if you click OK, this pops up. So if you ever see this, just right click on it back and just click hide columns. These are the columns that do not provide you any extra information, but I needed them for the formulas to work. I'm sure there's easier ways to do it, but this is the way that I knew how to code it. You know what? It works. It's fine. And the other one is here for the overall story graph that I couldn't do with the other columns. So again, just hide this one. It's fine. So how do you actually download the spreadsheet and make it your own? So the link is going to be linked in the description bar. If you click on that link, you will be taken into this folder. So if you go through this will obviously be empty. It's just the nonsense that I put in for the showing purposes. If you go in through here, you can try and type anything, but it will not let you because this is a view-only document. So everyone can have a clean, empty copy for themselves, and no one accidentally clicks anything. You can see the view-only button here, request edit access. Do not do that because, again, everyone needs to have like an empty sheet for themselves. So what you do need to do is to right-click on this file in the folder and make a copy right here. Do not click download as well. It's not going to work on the Excel. I think it will download as an Excel file, but because of Google Form ways of working, I don't think that it will work well. So just make a copy and you'll see that creating a copy right here, and it will click it will show file location. You can click there, but if you want an easier way to, or just want a way to remember, it will always be in my drive. So there is going to be a copy of CAWPILE. There's a Sarah's CAWPILE log, which is just from my previous time recording this. I just renamed it because you can right click, rename, put your name, CAWPILE log or something like that. You can make a folder for yourself here to put like a reading tracker or whatever, and this Google Drive is actually great because it automatically saves, so even if something goes wrong with your computer, you're not going to lose the data, which I really like. And if you do not have a Google Drive, if you have a Gmail address, you will have a G Drive account as well, because they're just free and this is just given as a pack to you. If you do not have a Gmail account, I really recommend just making one. It's very useful to have. It's a free space on the internet and you can have a lot of other files here that just exist, and it's like kind of a backup, so it's safe. And that's it. That is how you make your own copy. And if you go into that copy or like whatever renamed, let's say this is Connor's CAWPILE log, now you can see that you can type and change things. And obviously, again, this is going to be empty. So let me actually delete everything here. Again, I'm not deleting anything from the bits that are not supposed to have anything. And there we go. Hope that's clear. Hope that's helpful. Let's go back to the video. So there's that. If you use it, let me know. I'm very excited to see if you guys like it or not. Hope it's helpful. It's all there is. I hope it's helpful. If you were looking for something like that. I know Little Book Owl has a tracker. I know there's some other... I definitely seen some other ones floating about, so I'm sure there's other options if this one in particular is not really something you're looking for. But if it is, let me know. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you already used CAWPILE in the past, because it warms my heart. Happy 2020. I hope it is filled with amazing reads, and if not, at least that we find a new favorite. And just before I sign off, I would love to say a massive thank you to the newcomers, to the G's Army and my Patreon. A massive welcome to Jennifer, Amberly, Michelle, and Ashley. Thank you so much, ladies. I really hope you find joy in the Patreon. I know it's becoming such a lovely tiny community, and we have a Discord now, and I just really thank you for choosing to support me. It means so much. Hope you have fun, and I cannot wait to get to know you better. And obviously thank you to everyone who has joined the Patreon overall. It means the world. Thank you. Anyway, okay, chat down below. Thank you so much for watching. Stay awesome, stay kind, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!